Hey y'all, it is Steve with SBL Games. Thank you for checking in to today's episode. Today's episode we're going to do PS4 Slim HDMI port. Oh, that's not good. Oh, well I'm glad I got all this on film. Because somebody freaking mangled this thing. Anyhow, you'll need a T8 and a precision driver, Phillips head driver, in order to do this. And this video is for educational and research purposes only. I will not be held responsible if you break some stuff while trying to follow me. Alright, with that said, let's keep this moving. So, we got the antenna disconnected. We got the ground plate removed from the power supply. We're going to need to unscrew these. And this is one of the versions where you can't pull this off without breaking these little tabs off here. Well, that kind of sucks. There's always ways around. Alright. Now, we need to get the hard drive screw. Now the hard drive will pull out. Let's set that to the side. We need to get under this. Sticker. There we go. Because under that sticker, we have a T8. So go ahead and remove that. This will pop up and off. I hear some junk rattling, so I'm kind of curious what's going to be in. Oh, nice, full of dog or cut hair and dust. So when I'm working on systems, especially if I'm doing a component level repair, I like to go ahead and include a deep cleaning. Also replace the thermal compound. Since I have to break that bond, you're supposed to replace it anyway. Wow, this is jacked. Alright, this is all a bunch of mostly, oh shoot, there's screws missing and stuff. I'm just worried that someone got in here and might have jacked some stuff up. Alright, let's see here. Uh-oh, and I see evidence of roaches. Nasty. Oh no, that's not a roach, I don't think. I don't know, it's hard to tell, some kind of bug. Thought it was a roach, but it looks more of like a caterpillar or something. Anyhow, moving forward. Want to be sure to unscrew that screw that is actually holding in the power supply on the other side. And then of course we have to make sure to unscrew all of these and these. Let's kind of route this out of the way to where it doesn't get mangled. Come on. There we go. Alright, so now you can pull this power supply up. Be careful because it is attached by a wire. There we go. And just unplug that wire. Okay. And then while we're in here, we'll go ahead and, oh, there's that piece we heard floating around. Alright, but anyhow, while we're in here, we disconnect that. It's just a nipple connector, just pop right up. I like to just use my fingernail. Just be careful because you can break that nipple connector. I haven't done it on any system except for the Switch. I was taking apart a house unit to work on, and that nipple connector stayed on the connector itself, but the rest of the nipple connector just broke clean off. So when I do get that one up and running, I'm going to have to replace that nipple connector too. But if you guys have seen my video with the Nintendo battery connector replacement, it's a pretty easy job for me. It's a house unit, so it's low priority. If it was a client's unit, I would actually take the hit on the part and the time and materials and stuff, and I would replace it. Alright, so there is quite a bit of screws missing. But essentially the silver and, oh okay, these are all Phillips head on this side. I haven't done a switch in a little bit. Been a lot of Xbox Series X and PS5 HDMI port repairs. Trying to get these out so we can get down into the meat and potatoes here. Also trying to make sure y'all can see. So you want to be sure to disconnect the fan, all these ribbon cables, most of them just pull out. This has a clasp, you just pull up and then you can pull it out. Otherwise most of them you just grab the blue plastic tab and you can pull it straight out. And you want to disconnect this. I usually route it over here and just kind of tuck the wire in. I remember to put it back when I'm assembling, but other than that, it stays out of the way. Okay, so those are all disconnected. We just got to get the rest of these screws. I just have a feeling it's going to really need some cleaning. So we're not going to really be able to get right into the repair like I want to. I was hoping to make this a shorter video. I noticed that when I do the actual repair raw like this with just uncut, no editing, it takes about an hour usually. But I was hoping to do this one in about 30 to 45 minutes, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I think that this unit was not taken care of. Alright, oh, and don't forget about these two black screws hidden under here. There's one right here. And then there's one right here. The PlayStation has what I call the idiot arrows. It's basically these little arrows right here. It points where all the screws are that you need to remove. Or if you're reassembling, it shows you where the screws need to go that you already removed. It doesn't exactly let you know what size or anything, but nevertheless, it's helpful to know about the arrows. Alright, we're just about done getting all these plethora of screws off. Alright, got all the black ones, all the silver ones. Got these. Alright, this should pull off. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Híjole. Yeah, it's filthy and abused. I'm sorry, PlayStation 4, I'm here to help you. Alright. That all cleaned up. Okay, so that's all cleaned up. Oh man, that's all filthy too. And desktop. Oh, what was that? Something floating around. I don't know what that was, but there was something floating around in there. Ooh, it looks like a piece of metal, dude. Oh man. Well, it's off into nothing land now, but there was like a little round piece of metal dislodged in there. Alright, so we gotta get this GPU clamp off. Well, APU, I should say. APU clamp off. So it used to be with like the PS3 and stuff, it used to be two separate chipsets. There was the GPU and the CPU, but now all the newer game systems ever since like the PS4 and 5 on forward, and even with the Xbox Series X and One X and One S, they actually combined it all into one chip. I don't like it, but that's what they did. Alright, so now this whole board will pull out. You do want to be careful that you remember to disconnect this power cable. There we go. Alright, so that pulls out. Just dusting it off. There we go. Oh yeah, it's fun time. So yes, right. It's full of freaking cat hair and dust. Okay, so now there's one screw here. And then this whole freaking thing will pour it out. Sorry about the weeble wobble, by the way. I'm still trying to experiment with different camera stuff. I think I'm going to actually start doing it at the office, but just use the camera. However, have my phone pointed at the camera. Well, the TV, I should say, which shows the camera, because it's like a 1080p really nice camera, and I really have been wanting to use it for like 6 months or something now. Alright, so like I mentioned before, while we're in here, we have to replace the compound, so I'm just cleaning the compound off. There we go. And then always check the heatsink right here. It'll get all gunked up with dirt and dust. So I want to address that while we're in here. It's usually what the cause of overheating is as well. You'll also want to change the compound too. Very important if you want to correctly fix an overheating issue. Very rarely, every now and again, one will have a bad fan, but usually just a deep clean and thermal compound replacement does the trick. Okay, and now you can see through it. Alright, so we'll set that to the side. Look at that. Look at that. Like I mentioned, while I'm in here, I like to do the deep clean, but man, this thing's pretty gnarly. Definitely not the worst I've seen by any means, but pretty bad nonetheless. Bad enough to slow me down. Keeping me off task. Yeah, and see, it got so hot in there because the compound's pretty much toast, or they opened it and goofed with it and didn't change the compound. So they were on the way of having overheating issues, basically, until I fixed it. Alright, so now I'm just going to get all this out. Alright, move that out of the way. Now we're finally down to the board. Finally mess with the board. Alright, warm up our iron. waiting for the iron to warm up, I thought I would like to mention that we do have a monthly giveaway. Surprisingly, no one's entered in like the last 7 years or something like that. I don't know exactly how long it's been, but it's been a long time since anyone's even entered. But we do have a giveaway contest, so you basically promote SBL Games in a clever way and explain why you think you should win, as well as tell us what kind of repair it is. And then at the end of each month, we do announce a winner. So if you have a repair and times have been tough since COVID or whatnot, be sure to apply for that. The email address you could send it to is sblgamesinc@gmail. That's Inc. like incorporated, INC. Alright, so our iron is warmed up, so that's a good thing. Now we're going to take this little piece off. We are going to be reusing that, by the way. You want to use extreme caution with these little diodes and capacitors and stuff by those posts, especially if you are using load melt like I like to use to safely remove the port. You just want to use caution on that. And actually I started backwards. We want to first, damn it, and I have the wrong freaking iron. We wanted to first tin the pins on the front end there. So I'm gonna have to plug in my chisel tip. I'm really weird with stuff I do. It may not be the best. It just is probably the best for what works with me. I always use this big old chisel tip, even on difficult repairs where other people run to the, fine point. I just use the chisel tip, or sometimes I'll use the air. Usually the chisel tip does almost everything I need though, so. Alright, well anyhow, while I'm waiting on that to warm up, I need to get my low melt ready. Boom. 1 stick of low melt. Ready. I should have my fume extractor on. I'm going to turn it on a little bit. So it may get a little difficult to understand me, hopefully not. I do have a pretty deep and loud voice, so hopefully that will overcome the loudness. I'm going to go ahead and do that now for safety reasons. Obviously, don't want to be breathing that crud in. Since I have these covered in solder, I gotta go back to the other side that I was supposed to do first. Alright, so we put our flux in here. Boom. good enough. Should be good enough. Nice and coated there. If these little things come off, just keep track of them. Don't let them get lost. They're pretty important. They're the thermal pads. Okay, if that happens, it's fine. It's not going to destroy anything, but you do want to be careful to examine the board. See, like this little blob of solder that shot off, and just get all those little blobbies that shot onto the board to avoid any shorts. But that is kind of what we want. We just didn't want it to splat like that. We just wanted it to go tink, but no splat. But again, we'll need to examine the board before we rebolt it after putting on the new one. So let me get this one off, then we'll examine it, and then we'll put the new one on. Sorry for all the weeble wobbles. Biggest thing when you're on these parts, working these posts in, just try to be patient. It doesn't always happen fast. I'll probably make it look really easy when I do it and stuff, well, when I do any work pretty much, but if you are going to try this on your own, which I do not recommend, just use extreme caution and patience. Take your time. Alright, so that whole thing is loose, so the whole thing is going to go ahead and just pull out for a minute. Okay, so we got the old port off. Okay, toss that. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and check for torn pads. Okay, awesome, no torn pads in sight. That's always a good thing. Don't know what that is. What is that? Alright, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's clean up this area and just check for any solder splats. There's one way over there. You know what? I just realized. There. Those were on the ground plane, so it wouldn't really matter, but I'm a very particular guy and I don't want it to be on there. Alright, so everything looks good. I don't see any solder splatters. So we're going to go ahead and get this all cleaned up for the new port. And get the new port on. And we can go ahead and put the compound on and button her up. And we will be done. Might get a little bit weebly wobbly. If it does, I apologize. Actually, you know what I should do? Should come from the other end. Solder Wick seems to be doing his job. Very nice. And again, just use caution around all those resistors and diodes and stuff, capacitors and diodes. Yeah, that looks good. So let's go ahead and clean up the back. It's gonna get a little weeble wobbly, I do apologize. Side's just about done. Then we're going to clean up the side with the pins, the top side. Then we could get the new port prepped, tamed I should say, and then we could attach it. I might just reflow it in instead of using the chisel tip today. Yeah, I think I'm going to reflow it in. Gotta remove that old solder. So we put fresh solder. port prepped. So we're going to need to go ahead and tin it. So what I do is I first clean my iron. Alright. Now I put some Flux, of course. Flux is our friend on there. I actually get the legs first. It helps later on when you're filling, making sure that the posts are fully filled with the solder for a nice strong connection. And just be sure to use quality flux, quality solder. Bridge that doesn't want to go away. It's like one of the pins got a little bent. I noticed it when I first went to do it. I was hoping it wouldn't be a big issue. But we're recording, so something has to go straight. To bend that pin to get rid of that. It wants to come back. Oh man. Very upsetting, actually. Got it. Alright. Now that those are tinned, we need to prep the board with fresh solder. There we go. just want to make sure that this port sits in there really well, pins line up, we don't have to bend the post or any stupid junk like that, hopefully. Oh, forgot to clean it up. Forgot to clean it up. Alright, so let me clean it up first. I want to add a little more flux to it. Okay, that went in nice. But of course. All that flux that I had to use, some of it got burned up. Blackened, whatever you want to call it. There we go. All right. Does it line up? Let's check under the scope. Beautiful. Okay, everything lines up. Well, for the most part, those ones look a little wonky. Let's fix that. Alright, so that all looks good. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and reflow it into place. So let's put a little bit of flux back in there. Should be sufficient. Alright. Let's get our iron on, or our rework on. Let me get up to par. Okay. Very hot. Very hot. Very, very hot. Alright, we need to figure this out. Right here. There we go. test successful. So now we just need to clean up the connections. But actually, before I do that, I want to go ahead and solder in the post first, since we know the pins are good. Let's go ahead, that way we can turn off the iron. I don't want to foul my tip. I use Amtech, by the way, Flux. It's good stuff. I've tried all kinds of stuff over the years, and you cannot cheap out on stuff. If you are going to do this, even as a hobby, if you're going to be serious enough as a hobby, then you can't even cheap out. So if this is your business, then you definitely do not want to cheap out on that. So keep that in mind. Not only that, but quality products, quality materials, get quality results, and people usually don't have a problem paying for high quality stuff. Alrighty. The trick is to have enough heat to where it goes all the way through, and then if you guys remember earlier, I did tin these as well, which helps. Make sure it goes all the way through, and one side appears to have gone through, and the other side unfortunately does not. A lot of people run to the heat. I like to not use the heat very much, as too much heat on the board is always bad. This side needs more. halfway now, we are not. Okay, that side's good. This side doesn't. I don't know, maybe it's just the flux. Let's clean it up and see. Maybe it's just flux messing with me. It doesn't look like it's going through. And it is, it was flux messing with me. Alright, so while we're on this side, we'll go ahead and clean that up too. One more glance at the scope, hit it with the tweezers one more again. And then we can reassemble. Alright, so it still looks beautiful. Let's pass the tweezer test. Yes, it still passes the tweezer test. Alright, so we're pretty much ready for reassembly. We do not want to forget to the compound that. Alright, so that's all cleaned up. Time for reassembly. Time for reassembly. And then we'll pause and cut to the testing. So I'm sure you guys don't want to see me walk through my house. Oh, I almost forgot to clean up the backside. I'm going to clean up this backside before we can reassemble. Sorry for the weeble wobbles. And it becomes like a syrup. Want to clean up a little more often or you'll end up with like a syrup like this. It'll obviously still come off, but it takes quite a bit of elbow grease. This to be quick, and it seems like because I wanted it to be quick, everything's not going to my likings. That piece I told you we are going to reuse, because we are going to reuse it if I can find it. Damn. Alrighty, well apparently I lost that little piece, so we're not going to use it. Usually I'm able to reuse it. lot of times I'll even clean up the solder off these ground planes, but it really doesn't affect anything. They're literally just ground planes. But nice clean solder joints, if you can see. Alright. We need to put compound, and this is posing a problem because I think my compound is in my car. Nice.